Yo, 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 I'm back. I got a bit of a different video here today. I'm going to be going over my favorite, fights that are booked already. I like for the rest of the year, obviously, I want to say McGregor Chandler, but I don't know if it's happening. Jones Miocic, I'm not even, honestly, I'm not really excited for that. Anyways, let's get right into it. First up, I got Kyler Phillips and Rob Font. Um, Rob Font has lost four of his last five fights. One win coming over Adrian Yanez, and this is a similar situation here. You got a guy, an up and coming guy, and Kyler Phillips, who's trying to take his spot really. And similar to the Yanez fight, I want to see how Rob Font can do. He is 37 years old now, so not too confident in him, but with the fights coming up, there's some good ones and bad ones. This is not in any particular order, by the way. I don't have it in order. I just have like this wouldn't be one though, obviously, but I don't have it in any other order or any order. But yeah, I think this is a cool fight. Rob Font against Davison Figueiredo. I thought he was a little drunk in the octagon. I mean, I don't know. It seemed like he got cracked with the right hand, was fucking wobbling and stumbling all over the place. I don't know if he was a little intoxicated that night. He's a good fighter though. Still, I mean. When I look at Kyler Phillips, on the other hand, he's fast, good kicking game, uses his range well. And the reason this intrigues me, both of these guys are similar stats, or in terms of reach and height, both of them the same, exact same. I think Font's boxing is better. I do still believe in Font's boxing. I know Figgy's a really tough matchup, and then when I look at Kyler Phillips, he's more of a kicker, but he's a kickboxer. Obviously, Font kicks, and he's not a great kicker, but he's a boxer. He likes using the jab. I'm interested to see how Kyler Phillips does. I think his movement could definitely give Font some issues. He moves well. He's fast. He kicks hard. I'm intrigued to see this fight. I want to see more of Kyler Phillips. I think he's a good fighter. He's 29 years old, trains at MMA Lab with O'Malley and Mario Bautista, those guys. So they got some good bantamweights. I want to see what he's capable of. This is a good matchup for him. I can't remember the date on this thing, but I'm gonna pick Kyler Phillips to win. I will be giving my prediction here for all the fights, just without watching film or anything. I think Phillips will win. I think he's just too fast, better footwork, and at this point, I think Font could put up a good fight, but I don't know. I'm going Kyler Phillips. Next up, Brendan Allen versus Nasruddin Imavov. I like this fight. I know, people have been low on Brendan Allen ever since or after the Chris Curtis 2 fight. You know, I don't like Chris Curtis at all. I think he's a crybaby, whiner, a little bit like a loser kind of. But anyways, he's a tough matchup, especially for a guy like Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen is a guy who mixes up, his wrestling and kickboxing. And, the way to beat Chris Curtis is to move around the octagon and kick him at range. And we've seen Imavov and, guys like Hermanson able to, do that. Come execute that game plan, and I think Brendan Allen kind of just got out of that game plan. Also, Curtis is extremely hard to take down, and when you get in the pocket with him boxing, he's tough and tough to hit. Really, he rolls with shots really well. I think it's a tough matchup for Brendan Allen. When I look at a guy like Imavov, 2 wins in a row, he's good. What was it? Dolidze and Cannonier. The Cannonier, he looked great in Cannonier. I really thought he was, I thought Cannonier stole an early round. I thought Imavov was starting to control the fight. It was starting to go his way. And, people say a little bit of an early stoppage. It wasn't that crazy, but I think Imavov would have won. He seemed to me, as he was controlling the fight, I thought he was going to win that. Um, but Brendan Allen's good, man. He's sneaky with the kicking game. Obviously, on the ground, I think he's much better than Imavov. This guy is a nasty rear naked choke, and if he takes your back, you're in trouble. The speed and the movement of Imavov can give Brendan Allen some problems. I do think Imavov's faster, but I like the tools that Brendan Allen has. I think he's got good takedown entries, and on the feet he can hold himself there. He's not like unable to do anything on the feet. Just because he got rocked by Chris Curtis and doesn't mean shit, bro. Chris Curtis is a tough fight. He's a guy who's rolls with shots well, like I said, and tough to take down. I think he'll be all right here. I'm going with Brennan out. I think he's going to choke this Frenchie out. I hope he does, too. Next up, we got Daniel Zellhuber versus Esteban Rijovics, and the hardcore fans love this fight. 2 prospects. Obviously, Esteban coming off a a knockout over Terrence Night McKinney, who's been slumped about 18 times now. And then Daniel Zellhuber, I can't even remember this guy's last win, but Both of their losses are to kind of veterans. You know, Loic Radzhabov's or beat Esteban Ribovics, and Trey Ogden beat Daniel Zellhuber, and Trey Ogden and Loic Radzhabov literally just fought, so that's pretty funny. But you know, Zellhuber has a crazy long reach. I looked at it; it's insane. Ribovics, I believe, has the power advantage here. It's a good fight. You know, I haven't watched as much Daniel Zellhuber as I've watched Ribovics. I think Ribovics, obviously, like I said, has the power advantage here. You know, it's a tough fight. I just think the reach of Zellhuber can give Esteban Ribovics some problem, and I think Zellhuber is better on the ground. But I think it's a close fight, and obviously a fight that I have on here for a reason. I think it'll be a fun fight. Two high-level prospects in the lightweight division going at it. Like I said, I'm going to pick Zellhuber here, but I'm really excited to see this fight. Next up, we got Michel Pereira versus Anthony Hernandez. You know, this is interesting. Both these guys coming in on crazy win streaks. Michel has won his first 3 fights at middleweight by demolition. Andre Petrovsky knocked him out in the first. Ihor Potieria choked him out in the first, I believe, or I can't remember. Maybe knocked him out. And Mikhail Zaitchik knocked out in the first, I think, or subbed him. I can't remember. Whatever. He's dropped all these guys. He has been dynamic in the first round at middleweight. He's looked fantastic. And, you know, maybe it's not over the best opponents. You know, I understand, like, Petrovsky I don't think is bad. When I look at Oleg Zaitchuk, I don't think he's great, but he's not bad. Ihor Potieria is kind of bad. But Anthony Hernandez, man, you know, he's one of these guys like Merab, unlimited gas tank, tough. But he's a little bit soft to the body. You know, we've seen Kevin Holland go out there and hurt him to the body and finish him. Michel Pereira has been hurting people to the body, so I want to see how he can deal with it. In my eyes, I think Anthony Hernandez is the betting favorite here, and I agree with it. You know, he's tough. Obviously, when he's soft to the body and that shit happens, but if he can just grind, and Michel is lanky and fast. He's fast on the feet, which is intimidating. He's wild on the feet, and I think he'll be better on the feet. But I think, you know, Fluffy's going to grab him immediately and just try to stop it. Obviously, if it gets into the later rounds, I don't see a way Michel could have won that fight. I think Fluffy drowns him. Like I said, this guy's cardio is unbelievable. You know, he beat my boy Kopylov, and like Kopylov looked great. I mean, that was Kopylov's one of his best performances. It's just Fluffy drowned him, you know. So I'd go with Fluffy. I think just, you know, after he gets out of the first round and he's worn on Michel, it's just go time. You know, he's going to take away that power and, or not all of it, but, you know, reduce some of it from wearing on him in that round, and he's going to come forward and land and take him down. So yeah, I'm going Fluffy. Next up, we got Khamzat Chimaev versus Robert Whitaker. This fight was already booked. Khamzat pulled out again. I don't know what's wrong with this guy. You know, as much as I want to like the guy, I can't, because he pulls out of fights all the time, and if you know me, that is my least favorite thing. I cannot stand people that pull out of fights. I cannot stand it. Inactivity and pulling out of fights are my number one, you know, biggest flaws or biggest things I hate about MMA fighters. If you do that a lot, Umar Nurmagomedov, you do that a lot, you know, Leon Edwards doesn't fight a lot. It pisses me off, you know, so that's one thing that really makes me mad. So yeah, Khamzat is on my hit list right now. I want to see this fight because I think it's interesting. You know, you got Robert Whitaker, a guy who scrambles like crazy. Khamzat has been questionable. You know, performance against Usman wasn't great, honestly. You know, obviously the first round it looked fantastic, but ever after that, after that just wasn't looking great. I mean, I thought the fight should have been a draw, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, that fight was kind of pointless. Khamzat barely even moved up. You know, we were expecting a title shot after he beat Kamaru Usman, but it was so controversial, and it wasn't a great performance that they didn't even give him the title shot. So, you know, this would give him a title shot in my eyes. You know, I don't know why he deserves this fight. I mean, honestly, the guy hasn't fought in forever. Obviously, he hasn't had the best performances, you know. Comes out there and beats Holland, beats Burns, which is still, to this day, his best win. I don't think Usman's his best win because I don't think he looked great. I thought he won that Burns fight pretty definitively. You know, it was close, but I thought he won, and he got the nod there. But in this fight, you know, Khamzat I think he's the better boxer. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think Rob has the great boxing. I think Hamzat is more powerful. He is more powerful. Rob is a little bit chinny, as we know. The boxing of Hamzat is pretty good. With that being said, the in and out movement, how is he gonna, time that? Well, I'll tell you how he'll fucking time it is he'll grab Robert Whitaker and throw him across the octagon. That's what I think he's gonna do if Robert Whitaker tries to blitz in like that. Hamzat Chimaev is gonna grab him and throw him across the octagon. Yeah, I don't think Whitaker is gonna win this. I think he'll get finished in the first. Hamzat, I watched him versus Usman, and he was like he couldn't find the rear naked choke. You know what he resorted to? Ground and pound, vicious ground and pound. I think he finishes Robert Whitaker in the first round. Next up, O'Malley versus Merab. I'm not a fan of Merab's style. I don't think, there's a lot of people who are a fan of his style. It's not fun. With that being said, obviously he deserves a shot. That's how you get a real title shot, not Umar Nurmagomedov shot. That doesn't even, bro. Good win over Sandhagen, but in my eyes, you got to finish that fight if you want a shot. But whatever. I'll talk about that. That shit pisses me off. But anyways, Sean O'Malley I think he's going to knock out Merab. When I look at Merab, great grappler, great cardio, drowns you, but no finishing ability. And I think that's a big problem, especially when you're going up against a guy like Sean O'Malley, a sharpshooter, great footwork, very fast. I think it's a problem for Merab. I think Merab is great. I think he's a good fighter, but when you give O'Malley at minimum 5 times that he's going to be able to find a shot on him, I think he's going to find one. And I think O'Malley's going to come in with a good game plan. Tim Welch is a good coach. I think he'll come in with a good game plan. Not a lot of kicking, especially to the body. No kicks to the body. Low on the teeps. And I think he's going to finish Merab. And I don't think it's going to be that close, really. But obviously I can see Merab winning that. But anyways, next up, we got the best stylistic matchup possibly of all time. Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopez. I've talked about Diego Lopez, and I was criticized about what I said about him, and I think he's overhyped. I still do. Go against Ige, gassed out. Movsar, gassed out against Movsar, and I'll give him credit. This is, those are short notice fights, so I cannot completely judge him off that. But the way that this guy throws strikes, he's putting everything into it. When you're shooting that many submissions, you're gonna get tired. And I worry about him for 5 rounds. I don't think he wins. What happens when he goes up against a guy like Ilya or Max? No. Even in this case, I think Brian Ortega's gonna submit this guy. I think Ortega can submit anyone. First of all, I don't care that Diego Lopez is a fantastic BJJ, but I don't care. Ortega can submit anybody. So I think Diego Lopez gasses out, man. He doesn't have a great gas tank. Gassed out, like I said, against Ige and against Movsar. And I picked Ortega, and I got, before Ortega pulled out, and I got criticized. But I said, watch him gas out versus Ige, and he did. So when I say things, listen, because I know what I'm talking about. But anyways, I'm going Ortega. I think, Lopez gasses out again. So, yeah, let's move on. Next up, we got Israel Adesanya versus Dricus du Plessis this weekend. I will be getting my predictions out hopefully tomorrow. Yes, I will be getting them out tomorrow. I've watched film on all the guys, all the fights except for Jairzinho Rozenstruik, Tuivasa, and Gamrot and Hooker. I've got all my other picks ready, but the main event, I'm going with DDP, but I'm not going to go into too much detail on this fight. I'm really excited for the build-up and the stylistic matchup, man. I think this is one of the closest fights I've ever had to, think about. It's so close to me. I think there's so many factors that can play into this, and in my breakdown, I think I'll be giving a long breakdown of this fight, but I don't want to give it away now, but I'm picking DDP to summarize it for you, the grappling and the explosiveness and the pressure. But, yeah, I'm excited to see the fight nonetheless, bro. It's going to be amazing. Next up, we got Kevin Jousset versus Brian Battle, and as a fan of, both of these guys, I like Kevin Jousset. I'm more of a fan of Brian Battle. I love this fight. Kevin Jousset coming off a win, 2 wins, Song Kanan, and who's the other guy? Kiefer Crosby, Brian Battle, Ange Lusa, and who did he beat before? Gabe Green. Um, when I look at this fight, I think there's so many factors here. I think Brian Battle has the better jiu-jitsu. You know, I think Brian Battle is tougher. I think Brian Battle has more power. I think Kevin Jousset, on the other hand, is sharper, faster with the kicking game, with the kickboxing. He's obvious, or as well as being a great kickboxer, he's really good with judo. Very fantastic with it. So inside of the clinch, Brian Battle's gonna have to be careful. But I think Battle's better on the ground, and he's more powerful. I think Battle gets this one done via control time. But I'm excited for this fight, bro. Two, rising contenders that are very, very good in my opinion. I think both these guys are fantastic. And especially Battle really surprised me against Ange Lusa how well he did in the striking. But anyways, let's move on to the final one. The final one, this is probably my number one, Max Holloway versus Ilia Topuria. Come on, you can't say you're not excited for this fight. And I don't want to hear shit about Ilia. He said, nobody gives this guy credit. He said he was going to knock out Volk in the first round. Oh, my bad. He didn't do it in the first. He did it in the second. The number one featherweight of all time knocked him out in the second round. This guy's a problem, man. I really want to break down the whole fight for y'all, but I'm not going to because I don't want to make the video too long. But summarize it up, I think Ilia wins this. The build-up should be cool, though. And Max, especially off a great win off Gaethje, people are giving him a good shot to win this fight, and I do think he has a good shot. But I'm going Ilia. And I want everybody to go back and watch Ilia versus Yusuf Zalal. That's what I want you to do. I want you to watch the wrestling of Ilia Topuria. And it's not talked about enough because it's fantastic. I'm telling you, it's very, very high level. And he didn't use it against Volk. He didn't use it against Emmett. He's going to use it against Max Holloway. And it's going to be the game breaker. It's going to, this is going to be the reason that he wins this fight. His grappling is fantastic. His jiu-jitsu is great. I think this guy is going to win this fight from that. On top of being a fantastic boxer, I think Max is a problem for him. But Ilia is going to find counter shots, land the bigger shots, take Max down. I think Ilia's got this one locked up. But these are my most anticipated fights. And, I'll catch y'all boys in the next one.